The U.S. Department of Commerce spokesperson stated that it is reviewing exports of strategic importance to China, and during this period has suspended some existing export licenses or added additional license requirements. Reuters reported that Synopsys' internal memo indicates the company received a notice from the Department of Commerce stating that, based on a preliminary interpretation, the new restrictions broadly prohibit sales of products and services in China effective May 29. Synopsys has therefore paused sales in China, stopped accepting new orders, and disabled Chinese customers' access to its support portal SolveNet Plus to ensure compliance. Cadence and Siemens EDA are also awaiting clearer instructions, a hallmark of the U.S.'s long-arm jurisdiction. The U.S. can issue an administrative regulation or pass a bill, allowing companies to breach commercial contracts and violate market rules. In other words, rules are used by the U.S. to deceive other countries, adhered to when beneficial to the U.S. and broken when not. A few days ago, when Xiaomi released its 3nm chip, it faced fierce ridicule from Chinese netizens who mocked its lack of core technology and vulnerability to collapse under U.S. pressure, which now seems true. However, I believe that Xiaomi and other companies designing chips can effectively nurture China's chip design talent. Regardless of which company's EDA software is used or where the chips are manufactured, the process is largely similar, and the scientific principles are broadly the same. Allowing more Chinese engineers to engage with the design, manufacturing, packaging, and testing of advanced global chips is undoubtedly beneficial. Looking across China, among large commercial companies, only Huawei's chips can be considered fully independent technology. Its design is based on the Taishan architecture, modified from ARM v8, but Huawei holds permanent usage rights. Moreover, Huawei has completed a fully independent architecture design. With the continuous improvement of the Harmony OS ecosystem, Huawei has abandoned Android compatibility, and its chip instructions no longer need to consider ARM compatibility. Huawei's chip manufacturing suppliers, such as SMIC and C-Carrier, are Chinese domestic companies, fully independent and controllable. Its 5nm PC chip, Kirin X90, rivals the performance of Apple's M2, reaching international advanced levels. Its AI chip has earned high recognition from NVIDIA CEO Jensen Huang. Its AI computing cluster, Cloud Matrix 384, relies on a larger number of chips to achieve greater scale, using all optical interconnect technology and specialized optimizations for MO architecture large model training, significantly surpassing NVIDIA's AI computing cluster in absolute performance. Although its energy efficiency is not yet on par with NVIDIA's, China is not concerned about electricity costs, ensuring robust AI computing power. I will elaborate on this topic in other videos. Returning to the US's complete cutoff of EDA to China. This is not surprising. The fundamental goal of the US government is to defeat China in fiercely competitive critical areas like advanced chips and AI large models. Given the excellent performance of Chinese large models like DeepSeek and Qwen, it is unlikely for U.S. companies like OpenAI and xAI to maintain a significant lead. DeepSeek has just begun to shine, with its remarkable innovation yet to be fully unleashed. After gaining widespread recognition, it has secured substantial resources, and its future collaboration with independent AI chip suppliers like Huawei is highly anticipated for delivering impressive results. Thus, the U.S. can only target the chip manufacturing segment to block China's access to advanced AI chips. However, Chinese companies like SMIC and C-Carrier are making continuous breakthroughs in chip manufacturing. China's mature chip production capacity currently accounts for about 1/3 of the global total, soon to increase to 40% or even over half. For advanced chips, Huawei has already produced 5nm chips with excellent performance. Rumors suggest C-Carrier's EUV lithography machine will begin testing in the third quarter of this year, marking another significant breakthrough. Blocking EDA software has become the US's last hope. in the industrial sector. As long as the technical path is clear, the U.S. cannot block China's progress, determined by the industrial strength of both sides. The software ecosystem is the U.S.'s final advantage, with EDA being one of its ultimate manifestations. Other productivity software, such as graphic design, CAD, and 3D software, while influential, is not fatal and cannot block progress as directly as EDA. Thus, the U.S.'s EDA cutoff will be a critical battle in the technology competition between China and the U.S. If it fails to significantly harm China, the U.S. will fall into a completely passive position, awaiting successive blows from China. In fact, after being targeted by U.S. restrictions, Huawei has intensified its EDA research efforts. Although domestic EDA vendors like Empyrean Technology have not mastered advanced chip design technology, Huawei has. This may involve secondary processing of existing commercial software, such as unauthorized use in a network-blocked environment by simulating official network signals to prevent EDA shutdowns. Alternatively, Huawei may have genuinely developed its own software from scratch. Regardless, HiSilicon has not been affected by the EDA cutoff, continuously releasing new chips. From the perspective of EDA software companies, they must consider that the Department of Commerce's directive is merely an extreme policy of the Trump administration, with a limited term. Strict compliance would severely damage their commercial reputation, completely losing the Chinese market and struggling to maintain markets outside the U.S. They may comply with the Department of Commerce's regulations, but are unlikely to self-fund strict enforcement of EDA usage. In the short term, Chinese companies can use offshore shell companies to build VPN networks to continue using U.S. EDA software. In the long term, all companies will shift to domestic EDA, a significant boon for domestic EDA companies like Empyrean Technology. After all, the majority of chip demand is for mature processes, which domestic companies can fully handle. Advanced chips are concentrated among a few companies like Huawei, which have internal alternatives. Therefore, I can confidently conclude that the U.S.'s complete cutoff of EDA software to the Chinese market is an extremely foolish move that will not achieve any intended results and will only become a laughingstock.